Have you ever wondered why some people seem to push through life effortlessly, while others, despite their kindness, get overlooked and left behind? Why do some individuals command respect, while others struggle to assert themselves? The truth is, being too nice might be holding you back more than you think. This is the hard truth that many don't want to hear. But today, we're going to break it down and show you how to turn it to your advantage. Nice guys don't finish last because they're nice. They finish last because they don't know how to stand up for themselves. If you ask a disagreeable person what they want, they'll tell you. No hesitation, no second guessing. They see the world in terms of goals and obstacles, and they know how to navigate it. But agreeable people, they're so used to accommodating others that they often don't even know what they want. They're busy making others comfortable, avoiding conflict, and smoothing things over. In certain situations, this can be a strength. After all, cooperation is essential to any thriving society. But when it comes to building a successful career, standing out, or earning respect, excessive agreeableness becomes a liability. If you want to create a meaningful life, you need to stop being afraid of wanting things for yourself. You need to know where you're going and have the backbone to get there. That doesn't mean you have to become ruthless, but you do have to learn to assert yourself. At the extreme ends of the spectrum, agreeable people are often women, while the most disagreeable individuals are men. And what's one of the strongest predictors of ending up in prison? Low agreeableness. It makes a person callous, self-serving, and unwilling to cooperate. So should you strive to be more disagreeable? Not necessarily, but you should develop strategic disagreeableness. That means learning when to push back, when to negotiate, and when to stop letting people take advantage of your kindness. The world isn't always fair, and if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. Think about it as a trading game. Agreeable people bargain harder for others than they do for themselves. Disagreeable people do the opposite. They prioritize their own interests. If you lean toward agreeableness, you need to recognize that some people will exploit your nature if you let them. It's not about becoming aggressive. It's about standing your ground. Why do agreeable people fall into this trap? Because they are wired to be exploited by infants. When a baby cries, a parent's natural response is to soothe them, even at their own expense. That's essential for raising children, but in the adult world, that same instinct can make you vulnerable. If you're constantly putting others ahead of yourself, you will end up burned out, resentful, and overlooked. That's why many people seek therapy, not because they're struggling with aggression, but because they need to learn assertiveness. Assertiveness isn't about being rude or confrontational. It's about knowing what you want, communicating it clearly, and refusing to let people push you around. If that sounds uncomfortable to you, it's because you haven't practiced it enough. But just like any skill, it can be learned. One of the hardest lessons for agreeable people is learning to speak their mind. If you're naturally kind and accommodating, you might feel guilty about expressing strong opinions, especially if they're critical or unpopular. But the truth matters. If something isn't working, you need to call it out. If you don't, you're not just hurting yourself, you're enabling bad behavior in others. Many agreeable people bottle up their frustrations until they explode. Instead of letting resentment build, practice small acts of assertiveness every day. Say what you mean, set boundaries, and don't apologize for having an opinion. Avoiding conflict might make life easier in the short term, but it's a disastrous long-term strategy. Some issues need to be addressed. If you keep sweeping them under the rug, they don't disappear. They get worse. A well-socialized, disagreeable person can be a powerhouse. They don't let anything stand in their way. If you can harness that trait while keeping it under control, you become unstoppable. This starts in childhood. A child who is too aggressive is rejected by their peers and struggles to integrate into society. A child who is too passive gets left behind. Parenting isn't just about love. It's about teaching kids how to be socially desirable by age 4. If they don't learn basic rules like sharing and respecting boundaries, they face a lifetime of rejection and loneliness. No personality trait is inherently good or bad. It's about balance. If you're too conscientious, you need to learn to relax. If you're too laid back, you need discipline. If you're too introverted, you should practice socializing more. And if you're too extroverted, you should learn to listen. The same goes for agreeableness. If you're too agreeable, people will walk all over you. If you're too disagreeable, you'll alienate everyone around you. The key is to find the middle ground. A practical way to do this is to push yourself toward the opposite of your natural tendencies. If you're a pushover, practice saying no more often. If you struggle with empathy, force yourself to help others. Over time, these small shifts will expand your personality and make you more adaptable to different situations. One final thought. Be mindful of who you surround yourself with. If you're highly orderly, living with a disorderly person will drive you insane. If you're introverted, an extremely extroverted partner might exhaust you. Opposites can attract, but if the gap is too large, it can lead to constant conflict. Know yourself. Develop your weak areas, but don't work against your natural temperament. Work with it. Now that you understand the cost of excessive agreeableness, it's time to take action. Speak up. Say what you think, even if it feels uncomfortable. Set boundaries. Stop letting people take advantage of your kindness. Develop your assertiveness. Practice negotiating for yourself. Find your balance. Strengthen the traits you're lacking. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below. Where do you struggle most with assertiveness? And don't forget to follow for more content that challenges you to grow into the strongest version of yourself. It's time to stop finishing last. Stand up. Speak out. Take control of your life.